Hey there everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Puborama, and in today's video, I'll be ranking every single weaponized vehicle available in Grand Theft Auto Online. I thought that this would be a fun video idea, because a lot of times I'll talk about a weaponized vehicle or aircraft I like a lot, and then people will be like, well, I actually like this one more, or that one. And obviously I'll make some dedicated videos comparing like the Oppressor Mark II to the Oppressor, or to the Sparrow, but I want to make a video where I'm just able to rank every single vehicle, aircraft, where I think they belong in the tiers. Now, our tiers that we have is game breaking. This means so busted that it literally breaks the mechanics of the game. We have super good. This is pretty self-explanatory. They're just super good. We've got good, pretty self-explanatory as well, fun but average, and then we have wouldn't recommend, and trash. So we got a whole list in front of us, and we got a crap ton of vehicles. Now, I'm not going to be doing every vehicle. Starting at the Weenie Issy Arena War, and anything below is basically not weaponized in my eyes. I mean, yes, something like the Viserys can mount machine guns on the front, but let's be real. That's not going to do any damage to an online PvP player. It's useless. So all of these vehicles, the Amani tech weapons, I think are useless, and same for a lot of the Arena War vehicles that just have the front-mounted machine guns. We're not going to be putting any of those in the weaponized category. In the future, we will do an armored vehicle category, where a lot of these beasts will make their way in. But for today, we are sticking to weaponized, and truly strong weaponized vehicles at that. So now that we've got everything out of the way, let's get straight into it. Obviously, this is an opinionated video, so make sure to keep it calm in the comments. But let's start off, we have the Starling. I really like the Starling. It's a fun jet, and I would easily put it into super good. It's definitely not a game-breaking aircraft. It's fast, and it features a rocket boost, which is basically time-based. You use it for a certain amount of time, and then on cooldown you have to wait for it to charge back up. But it's absolutely amazing, especially under a skilled player's hands. If you know how to strafe and get behind even something like a Raiju, you can very easily rip a player apart. The only unfortunate thing about the Starling is that it features a base machine gun. It's not explosive, and you have basic homing missiles. Because of that, a lot of jets that keep flares and have explosive machine guns only need to really hit you once to knock off your fins, and at that point you're not going to be flying all too much. But it's still a great jet under a skilled player's hands, so we're going to keep it in the super good category. We have the Buzzard. This is an OG favorite. The Buzzard is just a solid helicopter. It features missiles, which don't fire fast. It's the whoosh, whoosh, and then you gotta wait about 5 seconds. It also features a super deadly minigun. Apart from that, not really any capabilities on defensive areas. It has no flares. It's not the fastest flying helicopter. It's kind of a worse Sparrow in every way, but it's still a fun helicopter to fly. I would put this into the fun but average category. I don't think there's anything per se bad about it, especially because you can call it in through the CEO interaction menu for free whenever you want next to you. It's still an average helicopter, and it's good enough to get the job done. So we're going to leave it into the category. Now we move on to a weird combination of armor and weaponry. This is the MOC trailer. It obviously has the Mobile Operations Center connected to the Hauler or Phantom Custom, depending on what you're using as your main transport, but it's actually a pretty weaponized trailer. It features explosive machine guns on the back that you can basically chunk into your opponents, and judging that this basically can survive upwards of 50 to 60 homing missiles before the trailer gets blown up, it's actually a pretty solid weapon. I wouldn't say it's great. If you have somebody driving and you're in the back shooting, it can be super solid. But for the most part, if you're a solo player and you have to go into the back of the trailer to get onto the seat to use the weaponry, I can't say it's anything too impressive. So we're going to put that into the wouldn't recommend category, because I just wouldn't recommend to use it in a PvP fight. You're going to be absolutely annihilated by anybody in the air. Okay, we move on to the Kosatka. This, by some people, might not be considered a weaponized vehicle, but you can move it, it's drivable, and it features missiles. So because of that, I am going to be actually putting it into one of these categories. Now, the missiles that it features are actually insanely dangerous. Not only do they obliterate anything. I mean, they can one-shot an Amani tech vehicle, but you can shoot them from the safety of your submarine that you can put underwater and then go invisible to the radar. The submarine can also survive like 20 plus homing missiles. So because of that, this is going to go into the It's a tricky one. I'm going to put it into the good category. I don't think you're going to get many kills with these missiles. I mean, sure, you might hit somebody on the ground, but they're not very fast. They do have decent range, but yeah, I don't really think they are great in any aspect, though. I mean, I'd much rather use an oppressor and just chase somebody down and missile them than sit in my Kosatka. So yeah, it's going to go into the good category. I can't really say it's anything higher than that. There might be some people that love sitting in their Kosatka and spamming missiles all day that are like, it's game broken, but nah, it's staying in the good for me. We move on to the Oppressor Mark II. It used to be game-breaking, but it's going to be sitting in super good. The missiles are pretty mediocre on the Oppressor Mark II at this point, and because of that, they're just not that good. I'd much rather use a Sparrow when it comes to completing missions. It's just as quick to spawn in, and it's faster in terms of transportation. Plus, you don't have to respawn it when you run out of missiles. But the Oppressor Mark II is still a fantastic way of not only transport, it can fly at 132 if you're using the handbrake properly, but it also does have missiles, which is great. It features flares, albeit not the best flares, but you can still have flares on it. It's just a really good way of transport, and the fact that it has weapons is great. It's also super small, which makes it hard to hit with something like an explosive sniper or any type of homing missile at that. So yeah, we're gonna leave it in super good. I don't think it's game breaking anymore, but it's definitely super good. We got the remote control tank. This I can't really say is anything good. In fact, yeah, it's gonna go into the trash category. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to use, but in all honesty, when's the last time you've used the RC tank? I've had mine sitting in my garage for the past, like, 3 years, and I honestly forgot it even existed until making today's video. It's fun to use, its gun is kind of cool, and you can't die while using it. You just go into a corner and you can drive around, but it's slow, it's very easily destroyed, and it's just kind of pointless in all regards. So, yeah, that's going to be the first vehicle, and it might be the only vehicle to make it into the trash category. We'll have to see. Actually, not. I got another vehicle that might make it there. But yeah, in terms of actual capabilities, it's definitely going into trash. We have the Terabyte. Now the Terabyte is not only pretty weaponized because it does feature a missile salvo on the back, we can actually see in the picture here, but it also can survive upwards of like 20-30 homing missiles, which is pretty good. It's decently fast, it weighs a lot so you can push vehicles out of the way. The missiles also have a lot of range on this. So in terms of actual weaponry, I mean, I'm not going to say it's great because it's still not going to hit many people out of the sky. If you have flares, you'll be completely fine, and the missiles aren't fast, but it's still pretty fun to just spam missiles at people. You can sit back. Sometimes you'll see people using the glitch where you can shoot these missiles basically with infinite range, which is kind of nasty. So we're going to put the Terabyte into fun but average. I don't think I've really ever seen somebody using the Terabyte, apart from like the occasional troll video, you know, dealing with griefers or something like that. But for the most part, yeah, you're not going to pull out the Terabyte to beat somebody in a 1v1 fight, so we're going to put it into the fun but average category. Next up, we have the Weaponized Mule, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, this going in the trash. It's just trash. It's terrible. It has front-mounted rockets, which are terrible. It's the same problem that the Weaponized Tampa has. If you ever hit a small dip in the ground when you shoot the rockets, your vehicle suspension gives in and it shoots right into the ground and you die. It's terrible. Not only that, but it can't survive any explosions. It's very slow. It's large. It's cumbersome. It's useless. Definitely going into the trash category. The tank has some arguments for being useful. Yeah, the mule is actually completely pointless. Don't buy it. In fact, if you don't buy it, you will always get a better sail vehicle when it comes to your nightclub. So, yeah, just pretty unfortunate of a vehicle. Next, we move to the Tula. This is a fun aircraft. It's, you know, a water aircraft, which is also cool. It can turn its propeller straight up and lift into the air like a helicopter. And it does feature bombs. It also has a front-mounted machine gun, but it's going to go into the wouldn't recommend category. Anybody using this aircraft for PvP, I applaud you, because it's not meant for PvP. It does have some weapons, but it's clearly meant to just be a fun aircraft that you can land in the water, you can fly around with some friends. I think it does have JADO, if I'm not mistaken, but that's obviously not going to help you in 1v1s. If somebody starts chasing me and they have missiles, I'm bailing out of this aircraft as fast as possible. It's a little unfortunate, too. I do kind of wish Rockstar gave us the opportunity to put missiles on it, because it would actually be a really solid aircraft if you could mount missiles on it. It would have water landing capabilities, it would have missiles, it would be kind of fun to fly around, but Unfortunately, that's not the case, so it's definitely going into the wouldn't recommend category. We move on to the Deluxo, and this is just super good. I mean, the Deluxo flies, which is already a dub. It's a car, and it's one of the fastest sports classics at 127 miles per hour. When you pair that with the fact that Deluxo features insanely dangerous homing missiles, these are the Mark II variants that will easily hit anything in the sky, anything on the ground. It'll turn around at a, blink of an eye. The Deluxo is just an incredibly dangerous vehicle. When you pair that with the fact that it can also dodge homing missiles very easily because you just fly right at them and then dip at the last second, a skilled Deluxo driver/pilot I don't want to mess with personally. It's super underrated. And yeah, it's going into the super good category. I love it. It's also not really that expensive when you compare it to something like the Oppressor Mark II. But yeah, I love the Deluxo. It's such a fun vehicle. We move on to the Rhino tank, and yeah, the Rhino tank, it's between trash and wouldn't recommend. I don't think I'm going to put it in the trash because it actually has a pretty dangerous weapon. But, yeah, it's going to go into wouldn't recommend. The Rhino tank doesn't feature much survivability. I've always personally been a little confused on why the Insurgent and vehicles that shouldn't survive 27 missiles do, but then the tank, which you would expect to survive like 30 homing missiles, only survives like 6 before it starts smoking. Like, huh? Yeah, I've never really understood that. So because of that, I'm going to leave the tank and wouldn't recommend. Super dangerous weapon, but first of all, you can't store it in your garage, which is really unfortunate. It doesn't drop mines. It's pretty slow. And it blows up cars when you drive over them, which sounds cool until you realize that it damages the vehicle. So, yeah, I'm going to put the tank into wouldn't recommend. Please don't waste your money on the Rhino tank. I think this next vehicle is the Havoc. Honestly, I have never used the Havoc. I think I owned it on my old GTA account, and I don't really remember much about it. It has a controllable machine gun, if I'm not mistaken, but it's pretty pointless. I'm going to put it into the wouldn't recommend category. If I don't know much about it, and I'm a person who knows a lot about GTA, then there's really not much going for it. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, the Havoc is going to go into the wouldn't recommend category. Alright, we move on to the Laser. This is a super expensive jet, coming in at $6.5 million, which is, it's pretty insane. The Laser would have been put in game-breaking if they had kept the machine gun the way it used to be. Unfortunately, Rockstar did nerf it. I mean, it's not unfortunate. I'm not going to complain. The machine gun was a little busted. But, yeah, it's still a pretty good jet. I'm going to put it into the good category. It doesn't make it in the super good, because there's a jet that we're going to talk about later that just flat out beats it in every category. But it's still fast. It's very comfortable to fly. I still think the Laser is the most enjoyable jet to fly in the game. It looks incredible. If Rockstar gave you the ability to store it in your garage, and not only store it, because everybody can store it. Like, you can put it in your hangar. But it's more if Rockstar gave you the ability to upgrade it, maybe put better missiles on it, maybe put a stealth module, it would be amazing. But right now, it's just going into the good category. It doesn't have flares, which would be a great upgrade if Rockstar gave it that. So, yeah, it's just good. We move on to the Mogul, I think this is called, and again, it's basically the same thing as the Havoc, but I'm actually going to put this in the trash. I don't think I've ever seen anybody using this plane, like, ever in GTA. It only has a twin machine gun that you can use on the roof as a second gunner, so you can't even use it as the pilot. I just don't see any use for this aircraft, like, whatsoever, so it's just gonna go into the trash category. Again, let me know if I'm wrong, but, I legit don't think I've ever seen anybody using it, so it's going to go in the trash. We arrive to the Pyro. This is one of the fastest flying jets in the game, and it does feature missiles, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, no explosive machine gun, plus its handling is actually kind of awkward. It's not the best on maneuverability, which makes it kind of weird. It's not going to go into, like, the super good category, but we'll definitely put it into good because of the speed, because of the fact that it has a two-seater, which is kind of cool, and the fact that it's just really nasty with the missiles and everything. It's definitely a good jet, but yeah, I can't really say it's anything above that. We move on to another tank, this one being the Khanjali, which we're gonna put into fun but average. Don't get me wrong, the Khanjali is fun. It features a super dangerous gun. It also drops proximity mines, which means if anybody's trying to chase you, you'll hit them with the mines. But who's going to be chasing you? You're in a tank. They can just hop in any flying vehicle. You don't have enough gun arc to shoot them, and they will instantly knock you out of the sky. If the tank featured a missile lock-on jammer or flares, it would be really, really cool. Unfortunately, as of right now, it's just not that good of a vehicle when everybody uses jets and some sort of flying aircraft, Deluxo, to rip you apart. Heck, I'd rather be in a Toreador than this tank because I'd still probably win in a Toreador. So, yeah, it's fun. It's not actually that expensive. I think it's 2.7 mil, which isn't too bad in terms of money making nowadays, but yeah, I just can't say it's really anything insane. We move over to the Molotov. This is a very nice looking jet, but man, I bought it, and I'd been wanting to get the Molotov for years. I purchased it, and I was really disappointed with it. It doesn't have good handling, its missiles are very mediocre, and it doesn't feature an explosive machine gun. There's really nothing special about this jet. So we're going to throw it into the wouldn't recommend category. I would honestly recommend stealing a laser out of the military base, or even better yet, just buying a Rogue. It's not only faster, but has better handling. It's a two-seater, it has flares, and it's just better in a lot of ways. So yeah, I definitely would not recommend the Molotov, which is super disappointing. It's such a cool looking jet. I think it's based off a Russian Saber, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. We move on to the Weaponized Limousine, and yeah, this is also going into the wouldn't recommend category. I don't think it's trash because it's pretty cheap, and you can call it in with your CEO tab, which is kind of cool. But first of all, to use the minigun, you need to have two people, so essentially you're gonna be defenseless if you're just the driver. It's also not very fast. Its handling is pretty mediocre. So yeah, it's not great. It also only survives one missile. The second one blows it up. So it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but yeah, I just wouldn't recommend it for anybody to buy. We move on to the Ultralight, and yeah, this is going to go into the fun but average. It's fun, but it's average. I mean, the machine gun it features, the ball machine gun, is really cool because you can shoot it like any angle you want. But actually trying to shoot somebody with the machine gun is almost impossible. The only reason I'm even putting it in the average category is because of the fact that it can go off the radar when you're not pressing anything on the gas, which is kind of cool. It's fun. That's as much as I can say. I don't know what else to say about the Ultralight. We move on to the Weaponized Pounder. I think this is it, the Pounder Custom. This is a really, really cool truck, and it features an insanely dangerous weapon. I'm going to put it in the good. I'm not going to put it in the super good because of the fact it needs armor. I don't know why Rockstar makes these vehicles look super armored. They give you these armor upgrades, and then you get hit by one missile and the whole vehicle blows up and combusts. It's really unfortunate. If Rockstar changed it so that the Pounder and the Mule and all the weaponized nightclub vehicles could survive explosions easily, I would put them into the super good category. Maybe this one even the game breaking. But unfortunately, it just doesn't, and it's a big, easy vehicle to lock onto with homing missiles. But the reason it's going into good is because of the fact that it features a missile salvo on the roof, and you can control the missile salvo while you're driving the vehicle. You can shoot the missile super fast, chunk, 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 then it's a burst of 4, you gotta wait a couple seconds before you can shoot again, but they're firing fast, and it's just a super dangerous weapon. For a beginner, easily one of the best weapons you can get. It's super cheap, and yeah, I easily think it's going into the good category. As I said, it's just unfortunate it really doesn't feature armor. We move on to the Technical Aqua, and yeah, it's gonna go in the trash. It's just pointless. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I love Top Gear, and obviously this is based off of the Hilux that Top Gear threw some buoys on and threw it into the ocean and it floated away. But the problem is the vehicle, it just has a machine gun, and to get on the machine gun again, you can't be driving it, which basically makes you a sitting duck unless you have another friend. And if you have two friends, then just pull out an Avenger or an MOC cab at that point. Like, why would you use this vehicle? So it's cool, don't get me wrong, it's fun, but at the end of the day, I would never ever use a Technical Aqua. I don't even own one on my current account, so that tells you how much I would use it. Now, next up we have the Weaponized Ignis. This is not available on my version of GTA because I play on the PC, but for any of you console users out there, I'm still going to throw it in, and we are going to put this into the I'm going to put it into the super good category. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never used it, but it does feature a super dangerous minigun. It's a super fast vehicle. In fact, it's one of the fastest supercars in GTA, because I'm pretty sure it's HSW. And when you pair that with the fact that it also has some armor, it's just a really good car in general. So yeah, it's easily going into the super good category. It's really cool to look at as well. It's just unfortunate that Rockstar has not given PC players HSW. I'm praying that they do in the December update, but I guess we'll find out. Move on to the Ruiner 2000, and this is going to go into the good category for one reason. the Ruiner 2000 has a special VIP mission that you can start up. This mission allows you to have a basically invincible Ruiner 2000. Because of that, it's pretty good. For the average player, you're not going to do this, but in terms of PvP, it's a very good way to have basically an indestructible Ruiner 2000 with unlimited missiles, and I should point out that this does feature the Mark II homing missiles, making it super dangerous. Now, if you're an average player like myself and you don't really care that much about PvP, then yeah, I would definitely put the Ruiner 2000 into don't buy, but because of the fact that it has the super dangerous missiles, plus it looks really cool, it's actually decently fast, I'm going to put it in the good. I think that it is a fairly good vehicle. The Rogue, easily super good. It's just so good. I would probably change this to S tier, but yeah, we're going to leave this into super good. Honestly, I don't know if there's any vehicle I'm going to put into the game-breaking category. Actually, there's one that I'll put into it, now that I think about it, but that's about it. So, yeah, when it comes to the Rogue, it is not only a two-seater, not only can survive 3 missiles, the 4th one blowing it up, but it also features flares, drops bombs, has an explosive machine gun, has missiles, and it's one of the fastest flying aircraft in the game, which is crazy to think about when you realize that it's a propellered aircraft. When you pair this all with the fact that it's only $1.2 million, yeah, just buy the Rogue. If you don't have it, get it. There are so many videos out there saying it's great. I just saw a recent one posted by a new YouTuber that popped up saying it's great. Just get the Rogue. It's so good. I can easily recommend it for any player, whether you're new, whether you're experienced. It's fun to fly. It's just great. It's super, super good. Its handling is actually so good that sometimes people overturn and crash into a building, but if you get used to it, it's great. So yeah, the Rogue goes into super good any day of the week. The B-11 Strike Force also goes into super good. The B-11 is one of the slower flying jets. It's not terribly slow. I think it still goes at like 180, but it's not fast if you compare it to something like, you know, the Rogue or the Pyro, even a basic jet like the Laser. The advantage that the B-11 has is that it flies so slow when you're not applying the power to it that you can easily outmaneuver any other jet in a dogfight. I've tested it against the F-160 Raiju, even against things like the Starling, and you are very dangerous because you can literally just whip right around them and use the explosive machine gun mounted right on the center and blast them out of the sky. When you pair that with the fact that this is also one of the most armored aircraft, surviving 4 missiles before being blown up, also it features flares, it's just great. It's so good in all terms of weaponry. It also has bombs. It's expensive, but it's definitely worth the price, so it's going to go into the super good category. We now arrive at the Dune FAV. For any players that own the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack, you'll get this for completely free. It's actually got some decent weaponry. You can mount either an MG, you can put an explosive grenade launcher on it, or just a normal minigun, which is kind of cool. It also has proximity mines, but it can't survive any explosions. It also has basically no bullet resistance because it has no windows. So because of that, we're going to put it into the fun but average category. Mainly because A, it's incredibly cheap, and if you have the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack, it's free. So I can't really say it's terrible. It's free for most players out there. So yeah, we'll put it into the fun but average category. Next, we arrive to the first thing making it into the game-breaking category, and that would be the anti-aircraft trailer. Why is it broken? Sounds pretty useless. It's because of the fact that the weapons on it are just broken. The damage output of the anti-aircraft trailer will turn even a like super duper armored vehicle, for example, the MOC cab. The MOC cab can survive 69 homing missiles. I'm not even making that up. You can test it. It can survive 69 homing missiles. 2 shots from the anti-aircraft trailer will blow it up. In fact, 2 shots to any weaponized vehicle in GTA will get blown up from the anti-aircraft trailer. Because of that, it's game-breaking. It's not necessarily a good weapon. I mean, you'll get blown up very easily by somebody in the sky, but it has super good range, and anybody that is dangerous with the anti-aircraft trailer, I personally would not like to mess with. I've seen a lot of clips on YouTube. It's going in the game-breaking. People might disagree, but it's not necessarily because the vehicle itself is strong, it's because of the fact that the weapon is game-breaking. And then we move on to the absolute opposite. We have the Kara 6x6. I am honestly surprised I even put this in the list, but it does have a machine gun that is on the back, and you can have somebody on the vehicle while you're driving it. It's honestly a cool looking car. It's based off the Hennessy Ford Raptor, if I'm not mistaken. It's really cool, but I can't recommend it. It's gonna go into the... Yeah, it's going to go into trash. I mean, the vehicle's cool and all, but it's not even good at off-roading, which is the most disappointing part about it. If you could remove the machine gun from the back, I'd think it'd honestly be cooler. But yeah, it's going to go in the trash. There's just really no reason to buy this vehicle. I'd much rather own a Dubsta 6x6, which is not only faster, but also has much better off-roading capabilities, and isn't having a stupid machine gun on the back. So yeah, it's going into trash. We move on to the Oppressor, not the Mark II, just the base Oppressor, and this easily goes in the super good. The Oppressor is still incredible. It's not as good at certain things when you look at the Oppressor Mark II, but it's better at others. For example, dodging missiles, I'd choose the Oppressor any day of the week. It's much more maneuverable. You can instantly drop your wings and go right down to the ground, and it's much more fun to fly, the Oppressor. It's not faster than the Mark II, but it's definitely better in a skilled player's hands in terms of offensive capabilities and defensives. So because of that, I'm still going to be putting it into the super good category, plus it's a crap ton cheaper than the Oppressor Mark II. Move over to the Menacer, and yeah, it's not going to go in the trash, but it's definitely going in the wouldn't recommend. The Menacer has one thing going for it, and that is survivability. It can survive 27 homing missiles before being blown up. Because of that, it's going into wouldn't recommend. If it didn't have armor, it would easily be going in the trash. But yeah, the machine gun on the roof is pretty useless. It's the same one that the Insurgent Pickup Custom has. The difference is you don't have proximity mines, and this vehicle doesn't even have bulletproof glass. So yeah, I would not recommend to pick this vehicle up. It's quite pointless. You can't even shoot out of it because it has stupid front-mounted machine guns. Yeah, just don't buy it. Please don't waste your money on it. Move over to the Vigilante, and yeah, easily super good. The Vigilante is the only weaponized vehicle available in Grand Theft Auto Online that you can use missiles on in missions. That's it. It's the only one. The Toreador used to be able to, but Rockstar moved the ability in a couple updates ago, which is really disappointing. It made the Toreador such an amazing vehicle, but unfortunately, now it is just the Vigilante. The Vigilante's overall capabilities, though, nothing special. When we make it over to the Toreador, it's kind of worse in every way, or the Vigilante's worse in every way. It can't survive any missiles, and even though it's faster and has much better handling, it's also larger, and it's more prone to crashing because of that. So, I don't know, I like the Vigilante. It's easily making it in the super good because you can use it in missions, but other than that, it's not that special of a vehicle. There's a lot of other, things like the Scramjet, the Toreador, even the Stromberg that can do what it does kind of better in a lot of situations. Speaking of the Toreador, we're going to put this into... Ooh, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, guys. I'm going to put it in the game breaking. I'm honestly going to do it. It would have been in game-breaking either way, whether Rockstar kept the ability to do missions with it or not. The reason it fits here is because it has no downside. First of all, it features unlimited missiles. That's an A+. It has a rocket boost. Okay, so now you can boost anywhere you want. It can go in the water, and it has a rocket boost underwater. It can survive 8 missiles, and it can seat 4 people. It has literally everything you would ever want going for it. It is easily a game-breaking vehicle. It is absolutely amazing. I would highly recommend for anybody that doesn't have one to pick it up, whether it's on sale or not. It's just an amazing vehicle. So because of that, yeah, it's going into game breaking. I just honestly feel like it's better than any of the vehicles in Super Good. So yeah, it's going up there. Next up, we move on to the Sparrow. Not to be confused with the Sea Sparrow, which we'll be talking about next, but just the base Sparrow. This is a fairly average helicopter in terms of weaponry. It's got missiles. Now, it does have spammable missiles that you go shoosh, shoosh, shoosh. And it does have flares, which is pretty nice. But survivability-wise, I mean, an explosive sniper will take you out in like 2-3 hits. A railgun will hit you in 1 shot. It's not really that defensive, but it's very fast, flying in at 168, making it the 2nd fastest helicopter in the game, only behind the weaponized Kanata. And, it's just a really good aircraft in general. It's going to go into super good because of the fact you can call it in next to you. It's not anything special, but it's just so good because of how easy it is to call in, the fact that it's got the missiles that you can use easily for missions. I just love the Sparrow, so it's always going to make it into the super good category. The Sea Sparrow is going to go into fun but average. It's cool. You can land it on water. It's one of the only helicopters. In fact, it might be the only helicopter that can land in water, which is kind of epic. And it does have missiles, which is kind of cool. It has flares. The problem with the Sparrow, or the Sea Sparrow, is that you have to call it in through a personal vehicle, which means not only do you have to go out of your way to get it, but at the same time, you it's not that great. Let's be honest. Nobody uses the Sea Sparrow. It's cool. It's fun to use, but it's not a aircraft that anybody's actually going to pull out for general use cases. Move over to the Stromberg, which is going to go into good. The Toreador is better than the Stromberg in every single way. And because of that, obviously the Toreador is way higher up. The Stromberg's still a good vehicle. I mean, even if the Toreador is better at everything, it doesn't say that this is a bad vehicle. The Stromberg can survive upwards of 2 missiles, the third one blowing it up. It comes with missiles equipped, and they are the same super dangerous missiles that the Deluxo and Toreador feature, which is really nice. Plus, both the Toreador and Deluxo feature, or not Deluxo, the Stromberg feature super dangerous miniguns, which will blow up cars in like half a second of shooting. So, they're very, very nice weapons on both these vehicles, and because of that, the Stromberg's still a good car. It also can go underwater, not that you'll ever do it, but yeah, it can go underwater. So yeah, I'm going to put the Stromberg into good, because it is pretty good, especially for the price tag. We move on to the P-45 Nakota, which is a really cool World War II aircraft. It's probably based off a Spitfire, maybe a Mustang. Let me know in the comments. It's cool. The problem is, it's a World War II aircraft in a game filled with jets and much better terms of weaponry. You don't feature an explosive machine gun, the missiles are pretty average, the flares don't exist. Because of that, I really can't say there's anything special about the Nakota, and it's going to go into the wouldn't recommend category, because I seriously would not recommend to buy that plane. Oh, we got a tricky one up next, the Weaponized Tampa. The Weaponized Tampa is the most versatile in terms of weaponry. It features missiles, it has mines, it has even rear mortars, it has a minigun, and so many other things that is really, really cool. The major thing that you'd want is armor. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any. Not only is it very prone to getting blown up by its own missiles when you shoot them out of the front because they'll hit the ground too close to you, but even worse is the fact that you have no bullet protection whatsoever. Because of this, I'm going to be putting the Weaponized Tampa into fun but average. I don't think there's anything insane about it, but it's a really fun vehicle to use. So yeah, I think it's fun. If you want to pick it up, go ahead. It's really fun to mess around with. It's just not that special. We arrived to the Annihilator Stealth, which is literally a worse Akula in every way, shape, and form. Its missiles are worse. Its entire just existence is worse. So because of that, I'm going to put it into wouldn't recommend. I'm not going to say trash because sure, it's worse than the Akula, but I mean, it's still not trash. If you compare it to any of the vehicles in the trash category, it's way better. But yeah, I definitely would not recommend for anybody to buy the Annihilator Stealth. We have the Chernobog, and we're going to put this into wouldn't recommend. I mean, the missiles are fun. They have super, super long range distance, and the Chernobog can shoot like 5 of them all at once. It goes shoo 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 shoo, and I mean, that's really cool. It also blows up vehicles when you drive over them, which is also kind of cool, but to use the Chernobog, you have to drop the stilts and then get into the secondary seat to shoot them. It has no self-defense whatsoever. Yeah, I just wouldn't recommend to buy it. It's fun, it's cool, and my friend always likes it when I pull it out because we just drive over a bunch of cars, but yeah, in actual terms of effectiveness, I can't say I would recommend to buy it. We have the Annihilator. This is not to be confused with the Annihilator Stealth. This is just the base Annihilator. It's a cool helicopter. It has really, really dangerous miniguns because it has 4 mounted on it. It means you can blow basically any car up very fast, but it doesn't have any missiles, and it's also quite slow and cumbersome to fly in the air. Yeah, it's going into the wouldn't recommend category because I wouldn't recommend for people to get it. It's cool, it's fun, that's as much as I can say. Oh, now we arrive at an absolutely insane aircraft. It's going into game breaking. The Mammoth Avenger is insane for a couple reasons. First of all, it has a massive amount of survivability, being able to withstand upwards of 25 homing missiles. That alone is pretty nasty. It's also very fast, being able to fly upwards of 170 miles per hour. But even better than all these things so far is the fact that you can now use missiles with it. For the longest time, all you could do is drop bombs out of the Avenger. And because of that, I probably would have put it in like the good category. But giving it the addition of missiles now means that as a player who is going to be flying around with it to complete missions, I also have some form of self-defense if I don't have other friends helping me. Now, if you do have friends helping you, they can sit on the explosive gunners in the back and you're literally unstoppable. You can literally put the Avenger into autopilot, sit it above the city, and just nuke people out of the sky. Even if they try getting in oppressors or anything in the sky, and they hit you a couple times, it won't matter, because you can just literally obliterate them with the explosive guns. And let's say, I don't know, the vehicle you're in, the Avenger, gets blown up. It doesn't even kill you. It just spawns you outside of it. Even if you're in the air, it just spawns you outside in a parachute. It doesn't matter. It's insanely busted. So yeah, I'm going to put the Avenger into the game-breaking category. It wouldn't have been before the update, but yeah, now that you have missiles on it, and the fact that you can go off the radar is a little stupid. So yeah, it's going into game-breaking. We now arrive to the Vapid Speedo Custom. And ooh, this is a tricky one. I'm going to put it in the super good. People might disagree with this, but I think it's super good. Couple reasons. First of all, unlike the Weaponized Tampa, it actually has some good armor in terms of bullet resistance. The entire front glass and side glass is semi-bulletproof. So what that means is it will survive 27 rifle rounds before being broken. Even better than that, the front of the vehicle has grates of metal, and the metal completely acts as a barrier. So when AI or NPCs are shooting at you, and they're just spraying at your car, most of their shots are going to hit the metal, which means half the shots getting fired at you aren't even going to damage you, even if the glass does get broken. So because of that, the Vapid Speedo Custom is great there. It can drop proximity mines, and it has a remote minigun on the roof, which allows you to destroy anybody. Even though there's only one minigun versus the dual minigun that the Weaponized Tampa has, it still deals the same damage. So yeah, it's just really good. And the fact that it's literally free, and you can upgrade it at any level inside of your nightclub, yeah, it's just going easily into super good. I've got no problems with the Speedo Custom. We have kind of a weird one. This is the RC Bandito. I included it because of the fact it does have a bomb on it, and I mean, it is a vehicle, so it's a weaponized vehicle. You can bomb people. It's actually kind of nasty because you can't see it on the map. You can just drive up to somebody that's chilling and blow them up, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't have much going for it. We're going to put it into the wouldn't recommend category. I'm not going to put it in the trash because of the fact that there are people that use this vehicle for time trials weekly, but apart from that, I wouldn't recommend to buy it. You're not going to use this to blow people up. It's kind of fun to mess around with, though. So, yeah, wouldn't recommend is where it's going to stay. Next up, we have the Barrage, if I'm not mistaken. That's what this is called. The Barrage is pretty useless, I'm going to be honest. I mean, it has two separate guns that people can use. The driver can't use either of them, which is kind of lame. It doesn't have any mines that it can drop. It can survive actually a couple explosions, and it's decently fast, which is cool. But yeah, in terms of weaponry, it's going into the wouldn't recommend category because there's nothing about the Barrage that's special. Yeah, I really just wouldn't recommend it, especially for the price tag that it sits at. Oh boy. I should probably put this into like the Giga Trash category, but it's just going in the trash. This is the Armored Boxville. It's an armored vehicle, and yet it survives 0 explosions. It's actually useless. Do not buy the Armored Boxville. Even though Rockstar has like half the price, it's still pointless. It has one weapon, which is a minigun that you can use on the roof, but you can't even use it personally. You have to have somebody else in it while you're driving. So, yeah, it's trash. It's literally the most useless vehicle. The only thing that's cool about it is the fact that the plow works. If Rockstar made it so it could survive a couple explosions, it wouldn't be absolute trash. I'd probably put it in, like, wouldn't recommend or fun but average, but, yeah, it's just pointless. Don't buy it. We now arrive to the Technical Custom, and it's got some things going for it. You can drop proximity mines out of it, it's decently fast, and it does have a machine gun on the back, which is kind of cool. It also has some decent upgrades going for it, some armor that is actually added with the paneling when you upgrade it, which is okay. So, it's not terrible, but I'm going to put it into the... we're going to put it in the same category that we have our Weaponized Tampa on. It's basically the same category. It can't survive any explosions. It has proximity mines, which is cool, but it's just, why would you buy it? There's nothing special about it. It's just a cool truck. That's why I like it. I own in real life a 1983 Toyota pickup, and this is literally based off of like a 1980s pickup, so I'm a little biased on that one, but yeah, it's not going anywhere higher. We arrive at the Cerberus, if I'm not mistaken. This is a giant tanker, which does have some weaponry. It's one of the only 2 Arena War vehicles, the other one we can see right next to it making the list. The Cerberus is cool because it has a flamethrower. Is it an effective vehicle? No, not really. I would put it into the wouldn't recommend territory. It can survive a couple explosions. It can even jump, which is kind of weird to watch, but it's big, it's expensive, and it's pretty much a giant duck sitting in the open for people to shoot at. So yeah, I just can't really recommend for anybody to pick up the Cerberus, but it's a cool vehicle. I don't even think I own one on my account, but the flamethrower is cool. It's the only flamethrower available in GTA Online. Be a little cool if Rockstar added more, I'm not gonna lie. I want a flamethrower tank or something like that. It'd be kind of epic. But yeah, that's the only one we have as of right now. Next up, we arrive to the Death Bike, and this is going into the good category. It's not going in the super good because the weapons it features aren't that good. It has dual miniguns. They deal a lot of damage to cars. They can blow them up easily. But the Stromberg can do the same thing. The reason I really like the Death Bike is because it's fast. It can reach a top speed of 150 plus miles per hour. It's in fact one of the fastest land vehicles in the game. It also features a decent amount of maneuverability because it is a motorcycle, but really the only reason it's making it this high in the list is because it is incredibly fast. That speed is super fun, and the weapons are okay. So yeah, it's in the good category. There's really nothing special about it, so that's where it's going to go. We arrive at the Insurgent Pickup Custom. This is going to go into the good category as well. The Insurgent Pickup Custom, a lot of people would say, oh, put it in the super good. But it's only good if you have somebody else driving it with you. The armor paneling on the windows does literally nothing. You can test it yourself. It's completely pointless. It's actually really disappointing. The minigun on the roof is cool, but you need somebody else to be driving it. So, for the most part, the only weaponry you're going to have as a player is the proximity mines dropping out of the back, which at that point is the same as the Weaponized Tampa or the Dune FAV. The reason that the Insurgent Pickup Custom is one category higher is because it does feature 27 missiles before it gets blown up, which is pretty nice, and that's actually really, really good. So yeah, it's going to go into the good category. I think it's great. It's a very good counter to a lot of super, super missile-dependent vehicles, but yeah, there's nothing really insane about the truck. I wouldn't use it in a lot of PvP situations. I'd much rather pull out an Oppressor, a Deluxo, a Toreador, but it's a cool car. That's what I'll say about it. We arrive at the FH-1 Hunter. This, super good, any day of the week. It has a barrage missile ability, which allows you to go blah, 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 and just burst a bunch of missiles on your opponents. That alone is really, really nice. It also has flares, it's decently fast, and it has even decent survivability against opponents because it can survive like 4 missiles. So that's all really good. And it can drop bombs, which is kind of cool. So yeah, the FH Hunter, it's by far the most weaponized helicopter in the game, and because of that, it is also the most dangerous helicopter in the game, at least in my eyes. So yeah, I'm putting that easily in the super good. I love it. Well, actually, there's one other helicopter that's more dangerous, which we'll be breaking to very soon. We have the Scramjet. This is going to go into fun, but average. It is literally the definition of fun. The Scramjet can launch into the air. It has the longest lasting rocket boost out of any of the rocket-propelled vehicles, and it does have missiles, which is kind of cool. So it's a nice vehicle to mess around with. The problem is it can't survive any explosions, so yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's basically just a better Ruiner 2000, but it doesn't have the special survivability. Because of that, it's just going to go into fun but average. It's very fun, but I can't really recommend to pick it up for the price tag unless you are going to use it and just yeet around the map. Now we arrive to a vehicle that people are going to disagree with my opinion on, but I'm putting it in the game breaking. Why? Because of the weaponry. The Savage is now the only helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online and only vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online that features OG explosive machine gun. This is the machine gun that goes just blows everything up in front of it. Yes, the Savage doesn't have much survivability. It's kind of slow, and it can only survive about 2 missiles before it's blown up, but it's better than 1, and again, that machine gun is insane. Plus, it actually has spamming missiles. It's just a great helicopter, especially for the price tag it sits at, so I'm going to put it in the game breaking. I think that machine gun deserves some recognition, and I'm going to give it the recognition I think it has. So, ooh, we arrive at the Thruster. I can't really say there's anything crazy about the Thruster. I mean, it's kind of just a worse Oppressor Mark II. We're going to put it into good. It's fun to use, it has flares, it has missiles, it's pretty fast to launch in the air, plus you can call it in whenever you want next to you due to the latest feature of the Mammoth Avenger. But that's about all it has going for it. It's not very special, and yeah, it's okay. That's about as much as I can say. It's a good weaponized vehicle. The Valkyrie is an interesting helicopter. If you have a lot of players around you, it's super good because of the fact that it's got miniguns, it's got an explosive MG on the front, which is really dangerous, and it can even survive a couple missiles. But you need friends, and this is GTA in 2023, almost 2024, and people don't have friends anymore. So because of that, I'm going to put it into the wouldn't recommend. I don't think it's a terrible helicopter, but I also don't think there's really anything special about it nowadays because, I mean, I can just pull out an Akula, an F-160 Raiju, fly around all day, spamming missiles, and what are you going to do? Nothing. I mean, you're literally just going to die. So, yeah, I'm just going to put it in the wouldn't recommend. We have the APC, which is going to go into the good category. I really like the APC. Actually, you know what? I'm putting it in the super good. People might disagree. I'm putting it up there. The APC features two different types of weapons. It has the missile barrage, which allows you to shoot 50 missiles as fast as you want. You can literally shoot all of them in like a minute. Just go ching, 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 ching. Or you can put on the tank cannon, which is literally the same damage and everything as the Rhino tank. Either weapon is very solid. So I really like that part about the APC. It can survive upwards of 10 missiles, which is really cool. It can drive in the water, and it's basically completely bulletproof. Because of that, I really like the APC. This is obviously a bit of a biased opinion, but I just think it's great. It's super fun to use, and I've always really liked it. I feel like it's an incredibly underrated armored vehicle, so that's why we're putting it into the super good category. It's also really good to troll on people when they think they're invincible, and then you just spam a bunch of missiles at them. So yeah, I'm going to put that into super good. We have the Akula, and this is... I'm also going to put the Akula in the super good. The Akula is able to go into stealth mode. That alone makes it amazing. The fact that it also features missiles, and it has flares, it's got literally everything you'd want going for it in terms of a helicopter. It's got a machine gun on the front. It's just amazing. So I don't really think I need to say much else. It's just such a good helicopter. Definitely pick it up if you don't have one. Easily a super good vehicle. Now we arrive to an interesting one to rank, being the half-track, which we're going to put into good. The reason the half-track is going to make it into good is because of the fact that it still has bugged bulletproof glass. If you try shooting at anybody driving the vehicle from the front, the glass will make a shattering noise and it looks like the bullets are going straight through, yet it does no damage to the driver. Because of that, it's super troll, and anybody that doesn't know this will fall victim to the half-track. When you pair that with the fact that the vehicle can survive 27 missiles and it can drop proximity mines, it's actually really nasty, because what I usually like to do is I'll reverse the vehicle up to somebody that I've just killed, I'll drop a mine, and then I'll drive over the mine and blow it up, and then they'll die in the process. And I can do that like 20 times, and then I'll just, you know, drive away. I mean, it's really funny to do that, and because of that, the half-track is incredibly dangerous. I actually think it's definitely a good vehicle. Same ranking as the Insurgent Pickup Custom. There's two vehicles left. The one that I forgot to put in the list, and I'm realizing now, is the Weaponized Kanata. I'll throw that in right after we rank this vehicle, being the F-160 Raiju. And we obviously know where the Raiju's going. The Raiju is amazing. It not only features the highest top speed for any flying vehicle in the game, it also has a stealth mode and an explosive machine gun, plus missiles. That's it. That's all I need to say. I mean, it has everything going for it. It's fast, it's maneuverable, it's got machine guns that blow up on hit, and missiles. It also can survive like 3 explosions. Oh, and it has a hover mode. So, yeah, because of that, it's absolutely insane. You know what? I realized I just missed another aircraft that's not in this list, being the Hydra. So I guess I'm going to have to add 2 vehicles really quick before we end off today's video. By the way, let me know if I missed any others. Obviously, there's an insane amount of weaponized and armored vehicles in GTA, so let me know if I missed any. But let me go add those 2 to the list. Alrighty, we've got the final 2 aircraft that we're going to put into our list. Starting off, we have the Weaponized Kanata, and this is going to go into wouldn't recommend. It's not trash. It has some capabilities. It's the fastest flying helicopter in the game. It has missiles, albeit not great missiles. It also has a minigun, albeit not a great minigun, but it's still a very maneuverable aircraft. It's fun to fly. It's just way too expensive for what it is, and it should feature flares. Because of that, I can't recommend it. And then we finish off with the Hydra, which is going to go into, looking at the list, I'm going to put it in the super good. With the F-160 Raiju being in the game breaking, I want to put the Hydra one category below, because it basically is the F-160 Raiju Jr. It's half the price, but it still features great speed, still features an explosive machine gun, features the same missile capabilities, and it can survive 2 explosions before being blown up. So it's still a really, really good jet in many different aspects, and it can do the same hover capabilities. The problem is it doesn't go off the radar, so because of that, it is slightly worse. But at the end of the day, it's still a great jet. This is my tier list for all of the weaponized vehicles and aircraft available in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my rankings here. Obviously, everybody's going to have some disagreements somewhere in this list, but let me know how much you disagree with it. Obviously, this is just one man's opinion, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.